The sudden leadership change at Porsche AG has shocked the automotive world, but the real story goes much deeper than a normal CEO exit. When people first heard that Oliver Blume would step away from his role at Porsche to focus more on Volkswagen Group, it sounded like a simple business decision on the surface. Companies change leaders all the time, and executives often move between roles inside large corporate groups. But in this case, the situation is far more complex because Blume was not just any CEO. He was leading two of the most important positions in the entire Volkswagen empire at the same time, which created a situation that was already under pressure long before his exit was announced. Porsche is not just another car brand. It is a symbol of performance, luxury, engineering pride, and decades of motorsport history. Every decision at Porsche carries emotional weight for fans, investors, and employees. So when the same person is also responsible for running the entire Volkswagen Group, which includes many different brands with very different goals, it naturally creates tension. Many analysts had already questioned how long one person could balance both roles without something breaking. Managing Volkswagen alone is already extremely complex because it controls multiple major brands, each competing in different segments of the global car market. Adding Porsche on top of that made the job even more demanding. Over time, this situation started to look less like efficient leadership and more like a structural risk. Investors began to worry about focus. Fans began to worry about identity. And internally, questions started to form about whether Porsche was truly independent or just another piece of a much larger corporate machine. So when the announcement finally came, it did not feel like a surprise to everyone. Instead, it felt like the final result of a pressure system that had been building for years. The exit of Blume from Porsche is not just about one man leaving a position. It is about a deeper question of whether Porsche can define its own future without being shaped too heavily by the needs of its parent company. TO understand why this leadership change matters so much. It is important to look at how Porsche AG was structured after its public listing. When Porsche went public, there was a strong message that the brand would have more independence and a clearer identity in the global market. Investors were told that Porsche would operate with more focus, more agility, and more freedom to make decisions that matched its luxury performance image. However, in reality, the connection with Volkswagen Group remained very strong. Volkswagen still held major influence, and strategic decisions often required alignment between both sides. This created a constant balancing act between independence and control. On one side, Porsche wanted to act like a focused luxury sports car company. On the other side, Volkswagen needed Porsche to contribute to the larger group strategy, financial stability, and shared technology development. This tension is not new, but became more visible after the IPO. Investors started paying closer attention to governance structure. They wanted to know who was really making decisions inside Porsche. Was it the Porsche board, or was it the Volkswagen leadership system above it? This confusion created uncertainty in the market. At the same time, expectations were extremely high. Porsche is known for premium pricing, strong profit margins, and iconic models like the 911. Any weakness in performance or leadership structure immediately raises concern, because the brand is supposed to represent perfection and consistency. When leadership becomes unclear, it directly affects confidence in the brand. Over time, this uncertainty started to show in market behavior. Stock performance became more volatile. Analysts began questioning long-term strategy. And internally, there was pressure to prove that Porsche could still operate as a sharp, independent brand while being part of a massive corporate group. The CEO situation became a symbol of this deeper structural conflict. If one leader is responsible for too many roles, then focus naturally weakens. And in a high-performance brand like Porsche, even small weaknesses in focus can create large strategic problems over time. Another major factor behind the crisis is the difficult transition toward electric vehicles. Like every major automaker, Porsche AG is trying to adapt to a future where electric cars dominate the market. The company has invested heavily in this direction, especially with models like the Porsche Taycan, which was introduced as a bold step into the electric era. The Taycan showed that Porsche could still deliver performance, even without a traditional combustion engine. It was fast, advanced, and stylish, and it proved that electric cars could still carry the Porsche identity. However, The market reaction over time has been more complicated than expected. While the Taycan initially generated excitement, long-term sales performance has faced challenges. At the same time, global EV demand has not grown evenly across all regions. In markets like China, competition from local electric vehicle brands has become extremely strong, putting pressure on international luxury manufacturers. Porsche, which once enjoyed strong growth in China, has faced slower momentum in recent years. This shift has created concern because China is one of the most important markets for premium automotive brands. On top of that, the company has also had to adjust its long-term EV targets, which signals that the transition may not be as smooth or as fast as originally planned. For a brand that is known for precision and long-term engineering excellence, these adjustments can be seen as a sign of uncertainty. Investors do not like uncertainty, especially when it comes to future technology direction. At the same time, traditional Porsche customers are also divided. Some are excited about electric performance, while others feel that the emotional connection of driving is being reduced. This creates a difficult balancing act for leadership. The CEO must manage innovation, profitability, customer emotion, and global competition all at the same time. This is one of the reasons why the leadership structure became so important. Without full focus from top management, it becomes harder to manage such a complex transition effectively. Beyond technology and leadership structure, there's also a deeper identity problem inside Porsche AG. For decades, Porsche has been defined by one central idea: pure driving emotion. The Porsche Taycan represents modern innovation, but the legendary Porsche identity was built on cars like the 911, which symbolize mechanical purity, driver engagement, and racing heritage. Over time, however, the product lineup has expanded in different directions. SUVs like the Cayenne and Macan brought huge financial success, but they also changed the brand's image. Porsche is now a company that sells sports cars, luxury SUVs, and electric vehicles all at the same time. This diversity is financially smart, but it creates confusion about what Porsche truly stands for. Some fans believe Porsche should focus more on its roots, building lightweight, emotional sports cars that connect directly with the driver. Others argue that modern markets require flexibility, and without SUVs and EVs, the company would not be as financially strong as it is today. This internal conflict between heritage and growth is at the heart of Porsche's current identity crisis. When a brand tries to be everything at once, it risks losing the clarity that originally made it special. This is why leadership decisions matter so much right now. The CEO is not just managing profits or production numbers. He is shaping the emotional direction of the brand. Every product decision becomes a statement about what Porsche wants to be in the future. And when leadership changes, that direction can shift dramatically. This is why the exit of CEO is not just a corporate update. It becomes a symbolic moment that forces a company to ask itself a difficult question: is Porsche still Porsche, or has it become something different? Another important layer in this situation is the power structure inside Volkswagen Group and its relationship with Porsche AG. Even though Porsche operates as a separate brand, it is still deeply connected to Volkswagen through ownership and shared governance systems. This means that major decisions are often influenced by group-level strategy. Volkswagen itself is a massive organization with many brands, each competing for resources, attention, and future direction. In such a system, it is difficult for any single brand to operate with full independence. Porsche is one of the most profitable and prestigious brands in the group, which gives it influence, but also makes it strategically important for the entire organization. This creates a complicated balance of power. At the same time, there is also the influence of the Porsche and Peach family, which has historically played a key role in shaping the direction of both Porsche and Volkswagen. This adds another layer of long-term legacy and family influence on top of corporate decision-making. When you combine corporate governance, family legacy, and global business pressure, you get a system that is extremely complex and sometimes slow-moving. In such an environment, leadership clarity becomes very important. If the CEO is divided between roles or responsibilities, it can weaken decision-making speed and strategic focus. That is why the shift of Oliver Blume away from Porsche is being seen as more than just a personal career move. It represents a possible restructuring of how control and responsibility will be distributed inside the group going forward. Looking forward, the future of Porsche AG depends on how clearly its next leadership defines its identity and strategy. The company is standing at a crossroads where every direction comes with risk. If it focuses too much on electric vehicles, it may lose some of its traditional customer base who value the sound, feel, and emotion of combustion engines. If it holds on to traditional sports cars for too long, it risks falling behind in the global shift toward electrification. If it expands too aggressively into SUVs and mass-market luxury, it risks diluting the brand identity that made it iconic in the first place. This is why leadership matters so much at this stage. The next CEO will not just be managing a company. He will be shaping the future identity of one of the most famous automotive brands in history. Investors will want stability and strong financial performance. Customers will want emotional connection and driving excitement. And the broader automotive market will demand innovation and adaptability. Balancing all of these expectations is extremely difficult. However, Porsche also has strong advantages. It has a powerful brand, loyal customers, advanced engineering capabilities, and strong global recognition. If leadership can align these strengths with a clear strategy, Porsche still has the potential to grow and remain a dominant force in the luxury automotive world. But if internal confusion continues, the risk is that the brand slowly loses its sharp identity and becomes just another luxury car manufacturer among many. That is why the CEO exit is not just a simple leadership update. It is a turning point that could define Porsche's direction for the next decade. One of the biggest hidden pressures facing Porsche AG is the expectation gap between what the company wants to become and what the market expects it to be. On one side, management wants Porsche to evolve into a future-ready mobility brand that can survive the global shift toward electrification and digital driving systems. On the other side, customers and fans still see Porsche as a pure driving machine company built around emotion, engine sound, and racing history. This gap creates constant tension in decision-making. Every new model launch is judged not only on performance, but also on emotional impact. If a car feels too digital or too different from traditional Porsche behavior, enthusiasts react strongly. If the company refuses to change fast enough, investors become nervous about future competitiveness. This creates a situation where every direction has criticism attached to it. Even successful products are debated. For example, when Porsche introduced electric performance models like the Porsche Taycan, it proved that the brand could compete in the EV space. But instead of uniting the audience, it split opinions. Some people saw it as progress, while others saw it as a departure from tradition. This shows how emotionally sensitive the brand has become. Unlike many car companies that can freely shift strategies, Porsche operates under a spotlight where every change is magnified. That is why leadership stability matters so much. A CEO is not just a manager in this system. He is a person who must balance emotion, technology, and financial pressure at the same time. When that leadership role becomes unstable or divided, the pressure inside the company increases significantly. Over time, even small decisions begin to feel larger than they are because they represent the direction of the entire brand. This is why the CEO transition is being seen as a turning point, not just a normal business update. Financial performance also plays a major role in the current situation of Porsche AG. While Porsche is still considered one of the most profitable brands in the automotive industry, recent market conditions have created new challenges. Global demand for luxury goods is changing, and competition in the electric vehicle space is becoming more intense every year. Traditional advantages that once made Porsche dominant, such as engineering precision and brand prestige, are no longer enough on their own. New competitors, especially in the electric segment, are moving quickly with lower costs and aggressive technology strategies. At the same time, established competitors are also investing heavily in their own EV platforms. This means Porsche is now competing on multiple fronts at once. The company must protect its luxury image while also keeping up with fast technological change. It must maintain high profit margins while also investing heavily in future platforms. This balancing act is extremely difficult, especially when global economic conditions are uncertain. In addition, fluctuations in key markets like China have added further pressure. China was once seen as a major growth engine for Porsche, but shifting consumer preferences and rising local competition have slowed momentum. for a brand that relies heavily on global demand for premium vehicles. Even small changes in regional performance can have a large impact on overall strategy. All of these financial pressures make leadership decisions even more important. When the CEO role is unclear or split between responsibilities, it becomes harder to respond quickly to changing market conditions. This is one of the reasons why the leadership restructuring is being closely watched by investors around the world. Another important factor shaping the future of Volkswagen Group and Porsche AG is internal competition within the group itself. Volkswagen is not a single brand, but a collection of multiple brands, each targeting different market segments. This includes mass-market vehicles, luxury cars, performance brands, and even ultra-luxury segments. Within this structure, Porsche holds a special position because it is both highly profitable and globally respected. However, this also means it must operate within group-wide strategies that aim to balance resources across all brands. Sometimes this creates tension because Porsche's goals are not always fully aligned with the broader Volkswagen strategy. For example, Porsche may prioritize performance engineering and brand purity, while the group may prioritize cost efficiency, platform sharing, or large-scale EV rollout strategies. These differences can lead to slow decision-making or compromises that affect the final product direction. In a fast-moving industry like automotive, speed is extremely important. Delays in decision-making can result in lost market opportunities. This is why leadership structure matters so much. A CEO who is stretched across multiple responsibilities may struggle to respond quickly to these internal and external pressures. That is why the shift of Oliver Bloom away from dual leadership is being seen as an attempt to simplify and clarify decision-making. The goal is to give Porsche a more focused leadership structure that can react faster to market changes, while still remaining aligned with the broader group strategy. Looking at the bigger picture, the situation facing Porsche AG is not just about one CEO or one moment in time. It reflects a larger transformation happening across the entire automotive industry. The shift toward electric vehicles, digital technology, and global competition is forcing all legacy carmakers to rethink their identity. For Porsche, this transformation is especially sensitive because the brand is built on emotion and driving experience. Unlike other industries where change can happen quietly, in automotive, change is highly visible and deeply emotional. Every new model represents not just engineering progress, but also a statement about the brand's soul. This is why Porsche's decisions are closely followed by enthusiasts, investors, and competitors alike. The company cannot move too fast without risking its identity, and it cannot move too slowly without risking its future competitiveness. This creates a constant balancing act that requires strong, focused leadership. The exit of a CEO in this environment becomes more than just a personnel change. It becomes a signal about direction, priorities, and internal stability. It forces everyone to ask the same question again. What does Porsche want to become in the next decade? The answer to that question will determine whether the company continues as a symbol of automotive excellence or slowly transforms into something more diluted and less defined. That is why this moment is being seen as a turning point not just for Porsche, but for the entire idea of what a modern luxury sports car brand should be. Another key reason the leadership change at Porsche AG feels so important is the emotional connection people have with the brand. Unlike many car companies, Porsche is not just seen as a manufacturer of vehicles. It is seen as a lifestyle symbol. For decades, models like the 911 have represented not just speed, but passion, identity, and driving purity. This emotional strength is what makes Porsche different from many competitors in the luxury market. However, emotional strength can also become a weakness when change begins to challenge tradition.